Welcome back again to this lecture series on preparing and writing your capstone project proposal. My name is Las Yuansin Caluza, an Associate Professor of Lake Tioga University under the IT and Computer Education Unit. Today we'll be talking about Chapter 4, which is the methodology. The methodology is written in paragraph format except those that require a diagram, table, and charts. Remember that when you are presenting your diagrams, tables, and charts, an exhaustive discussion first before presenting these images, the diagrams, tables, and charts. It is recommended to cite some literature to support your procedure, your chart, your table, or the diagram. Next, we have the systems design. This is a graphical format with discussions showing the following requirements but not limited to. It depends upon the requirement of the institution or maybe a CMO coming from higher education institutions. So first to take note is that the systems development life cycle processes. You have to present the graphical representation and the type of SDLC that you will be using. For example, if you'll be using a waterfall model, sashimi model, or an agile model. Each of the phases should be accompanied with an exhaustive discussion on what your group or what you did in that particular phase. For example, in your planning phase, what did you do in the planning phase? Okay, you should articulately state the processes and the things that you have done on that particular process until such a time you are in the last phase of that type of model that you have adopted. Next, we have the black box and the white box testing presentations and discussions. Take note that these two are one of the most important things for you to be able to see or understand or unravel the quality of your software that you have developed, right? So one of one of these testing phases are basically will understand and unravel the type of source code that you have, how efficient, how timely, efficient, and quality outputs thus your system is producing and processing. Same thing as to the look and feel of your software that you have developed. Okay, so those are the things that you need to consider in this type of testing phase. Then we have the Gantt chart of activities. Gantt chart of activities basically are the things that you are doing step by step based on your systems development life cycle, but other phases or activities that you can incorporate here can be included. Right? This is in a tabular form with specific number of days, months, and days, and it is there is also graphical representations of this. How important is the Gantt chart? Gantt chart basically can monitor as to when to start and when to end a particular process in your journey in this particular project. Right? Basically, Gantt chart is performed prior to the development or even the documentation phase and the development of your project. Okay? You have to plan it out properly. This is the first thing that you are going to do. Then this will be followed by the per chart. Per chart basically is a graphical representation of the flow as to for you to be able to predict or see or assume or be clarified to you as to when is the risk part of your journey of your project, when to adjust and what to do on that particular day or activity when you are already on that particular area. Okay, that's per chart. So Gantt chart first, then followed by the per chart, because the requirement for you to be able to have a per chart is basically your Gantt chart of activities. Then we have the systems design. This is a graphical format with discussions showing the following requirements but not limited to. First, we have the context diagram. Context diagram shows the general view of we have two, of your current system and the proposed system. So basically in our program, we only require the general view or the context diagram of the current system. And then for the proposed system, you are going to propose the context diagram, but this will be supported with the data flow diagram. Data flow diagram basically are the specifics as to the processes that is done, performed in your system. Alright? Next is we have the system flow chart. Take note that what we are requiring basically here is a system flow chart, not a program flow chart. System flow chart is a different graphical presentations in terms of the tools or boxes or shapes, I mean, compared to a program flow chart. Okay, so take note on that. Then we have the entity relationship diagram, or the ERD, is another example or another important thing that you are going to include under systems design. ERD is very important because it is a graphical representation of your database. Okay. Then we have under systems design, we still have the database normalization. Database normalization, you should show at least up to the third normal form of your database. Aside from the ERD, you are also again to show your database normalization up to the third normal form. Okay, for the use case diagram, this is required if you are proposing for a mobile based or with a hardware component. Okay, so it's very important for you to be able to foresee how a client interact with the device or with an application. Then we have the input process output diagram, is also another important presentation of how the system functions. All right. Then we have the program considerations, issues, and tools. This is actually in a paragraph format, or you may present this in a tabular format. However, you must identify as to what are those that are under program considerations, what will be the issues, and what will be the tools you're going to use for you to be able to understand or solve or any process that you have done in that particular issues. Then we have the software requirement specifications. In this part here, you are going to, this is actually presented in a tabular form. So what are the softwares that you use for you to be able to accomplish your system, for you to be able to finish your system? The same thing for the hardware. Right? So you must have you must have an exhaustive discussion on how these softwares and hardwares are basically used in your system. Then we have the systems evaluation procedure. This is in a paragraph format. So first thing that you're going to write in a paragraph format basically are the following. We have the instrument and validation. So when we say instrument, these are basically the questionnaires that you ask from your client in terms of the system's functionality, security, what else? It depends upon the ISO process that you adopted in your objectives, right? Or yeah, in your objectives. And for the validation, you must have to use a Cronbach Alpha at least 70% and above before you go to the field. Okay, you have to test the validity of your instrument or the survey questionnaire before you conduct the actual data gathering for the evaluation of the system in terms of its quality, okay, of the system. Then we have the data gathering procedure. Is a process of how did you gather the data from start up to the end, okay, of your data gathering procedure. Okay, for example, you write a letter to authorities asking permission to conduct this study at the same time in gathering the data from there, and then and so on and so forth up to the processing of this data that you have gathered from the participants or respondents. And we have this called tool. Take note that as of the moment, in terms of this tool, some procedures or some tools that we use here are basically the basic statistics such as frequency counts, percentage, mean, or weighted mean. So these are the basic tools that you are going to use in your methodology under systems evaluation and procedure. Right? So that will be all for preparing and writing your capstone project proposal. This is your instructor, Lasio B. Caluza, an associate professor of Leyte University under the IT and Computer Education Unit. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.